Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
Okay, it's a Feedback Friday here on Purple Daily YouTube channel. We go live every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time or a little after 10 a.m. Central Time and pretty much turn the show over to you guys. We answer your questions. We take in your critiques, concerns, your theories, your hot takes, whatever it is. The best way to send us, there's two different ways, really. The feedback tab in the Score North app is the best way to email the show. We also monitor the YouTube comment section here. But before we get started and before we dive into the feedback bag and get to our snake draft of the week later in this episode, Quick Trip is here for your needs over the weekend here, Judd.
Yes, exactly. You know, this episode in particular obviously is turned over to the audience. But I'm going to tell the audience that when they're hungry, when they need gasoline, when they need anything, my recommendation is Quick Trip. As you see right there, if you're watching this, Quick Trip, not just a place for snacks. Yes, you can get snacks too, but you can get meals as well. If you're driving home tonight and you need gasoline, it's a Friday night, going home, guess what? You can pick up dinner. Quick Trip has everything that you possibly need. There's the quality gas guarantee. There's the friendly service. There's the fact that when you go to a Quick Trip, there's multiple people behind the register. There's not just one guy trying to scurry back and forth. This is the big leagues of convenience, ladies and gentlemen, and it's called Quick Trip.
Yep. Okay, let's start with this one here from Alex Pichetti, who always sends thoughtful, great questions. So Alex, keep them coming, man. And bear with me, this is a little bit longer here. I tried to edit for time's sake, but he brings up a really interesting question, kind of a philosophical Vikings question about JJ McCarthy, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, the man who drafted him, and Kevin O'Connell, presumably the man who identified him in some form and is going to be charged with turning him into a high-end NFL quarterback. So Alex says, hey, happy Friday, boys. I'm going to make an argument about JJ McCarthy and the future of the Vikings. Would love your thoughts. Going back to pre-draft, JJ McCarthy was the one quarterback I really did not want. Sorry, Thor, he says.
Yep.
I firmly believe the Vikings desperately wanted Drake May with Michael Penix as their backup plan. And when those plans fell through, JJ McCarthy eventually fell to them. But let's be realistic. He was the fifth quarterback off the board. They didn't go up to get him. So my argument is that A, I think there's a decently high chance McCarthy never becomes a quality NFL starter. And B, despite that, the future of Kwesi and KOC are not inherently tied to the success of JJ McCarthy. I think people, Judd included, are going way too all in as McCarthy being the starter in 2025 and beyond, like the long-term fix at quarterback. He's still just one player in the building, and the fact that they took him at 11 and not, say, 3 or 4 is important. Sure, there's always going to be some added criticism when taking a first-round quarterback, but to me, it doesn't have to be the final word for Kwesi and KOC. The Vikings didn't have to give up future picks to move up and get him. It wasn't like an all-in move, like it would have been maybe to go up to number 3. He doesn't make a lot of money. He's $5.5 million cap hit. As much as I doubt JJ McCarthy, I really don't have many doubts about the general manager and the coach. And I think the rest of the roster construction has been excellent, and KOC has shown to be a great leader of men. I'm sure some fans will vehemently disagree with me, but what do you guys think? Am I crazy for A, not being so heavily invested in McCarthy, and B, not tying the success of McCarthy to KOC and Kwesi's, essentially their fate with the Minnesota Vikings?
Well, first of all, I think Alex is right. I think that their first choice in the list, with Caleb obviously going at 1 to Chicago, was Drake May. Second of all, I've heard rumblings on Penix that the Vikings did love him, and they liked his arm, and they liked him more than McCarthy. Those are nothing more than rumblings, okay? But on the rest of it, I feel like you're trying to distance yourself from McCarthy already and give O'Connell and Kwesi a pass if it does not work. You went up 1 pick. He's the first ever top 10 pick at quarterback in Vikings franchise history. If you start to take that contract down, like if you're like, okay, you can't play 2024, which I think they will say. I have no problem with that. But then let's say it extends to 25, and then they're like, he doesn't look that good. You've just wasted a top 10 pick in that case on a position at which there is a strategy here, which includes that contract, because it's a ticking time bomb in a good and bad way. And so if you're just going to then let everyone off the hook by saying basically, well, we tried, didn't get this right, I'm not convinced that everyone gets a free pass for that. Like, unless you're the 49ers, which they did, but then you also, in that case, Trey Lance didn't work, but you recovered miraculously with Brock Purdy. I think you're already saying that you don't like McCarthy, but then you're trying to give a pass to the people who ultimately will be responsible if Alex is right and he's not good.
Well, I agree that it shouldn't just be brushed off if JJ McCarthy is a bust. I think the way NFL teams go about the pattern of hire coach, general manager, draft a quarterback, it fails, fire everyone, start over again every third or fourth year, and there's a ton of franchises that do this. I think it's myopic. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's short-sighted. I mean, you think about some of the smartest people in the world, the John Elways in Denver for all those years, right? I mean, even like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, who you mentioned in San Francisco, like the people that we think, if there's anyone in the world that would know how to identify and develop a quarterback, it'd be guys like John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan from the Shanahan tree, and it'd be John Elway, name others. If those guys are like a coin flip or worse, by the way, when it comes to finding quarterbacks, I don't think it should be as cut and dry as JJ McCarthy fails in 2 years. Therefore, the people that attach themselves to him should be fired and we start over again. There needs to be more context. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be held accountable, but in San Francisco, clearly ownership said correctly, boy, these guys epically whiffed trading a bunch of first-round picks for Trey Lance, like one of the all-time worst draft decisions in my lifetime. But they're still really good at their jobs. Kyle Shanahan is still a really good coach. John Lynch is still a really good builder of NFL rosters. And so, let's put context into the equation and not just fire everyone because of a bad high-profile decision.
But if they don't recover with Purdy, I don't think the storyline's the same. I think somebody...
But they did recover because they can develop...
If the Vikings find a 6th-round pick and McCarthy's not good, but then within a matter of, time... very quickly, a 6th-round pick steps in, changes the entire ballgame. But I think Alex's point is he doesn't like McCarthy, and he doesn't think he's going to be a success, and he doesn't think that should be a big deal. And I'm saying he's a top 10 draft pick. It's going to be, like it or not, it's going to be a big deal because you were hired too by the Wilfs, in large part, in Kevin's case, because you were identified as a guy who could pride himself and find and develop a quarterback.
Yes. So, and I will just add context. I don't think that means, okay, we hired you to identify and develop a quarterback, and you only get one shot for your career doing this for a living. It's like, okay. I mean, I'm a big poker nerd, and so the last few nights, the World Series of Poker $10,000 main event is happening right now in Las Vegas. $10 million first prize. It's like a 2-week process to play down to the winner. And one of the best players in the world, last name is Mateo. Mm-hmm. I haven't followed his career closely, but he's made $50 million in tournament winnings, and he was the chip leader going into yesterday. One of the best poker players in the world, and he had a bad day yesterday. And got eliminated. He went from chip leader to just eliminated with 200 players left. Does that mean he's a garbage poker player? Does it mean that he should be he should never play the World? It means he had a bad day. It's possible that smart people, San Francisco, have a bad draft process and they whiff on a Trey Lance. Just like it's possible that Kevin O'Connell could be a really good head coach and a guy that can jump into Josh Dobbs' headset 5 minutes after he steps off the plane and navigate him to a victory, and then whiff on JJ McCarthy. I just preach context is going to matter here. If they whiff on JJ McCarthy and they don't develop somebody else or find somebody else, and Sam Darnold is garbage, and now it's
you got problems,
and they win 5 games, and now there's a body of okay, this is the whole thing feels.
But it all
weird.
happens quick. Like it's all going to take place quick, because you can't say, well, we whiffed on McCarthy, so now what? Like, it has to be I mean, San Francisco, to their credit, had a now what, and it worked out really well. If you do that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and there's also, I mean, San Francisco, the fact that they had the thought of, okay, Trey Lance is our guy, but, and by the way, Washington did it with Kirk and RG3 like 10 years ago.
Yeah, if you have another option, absolutely. Changes things entirely.
Let's go to Vikes fan 01 here. Says there's nothing to know about Justin Jefferson before this documentary came out. Judd, I know you and the media kind of knew him, but fans never felt like we knew anything about Justin Jefferson prior to the Netflix special. He never even really let on that he wanted to be in Minnesota. I was surprised when he signed his contract because there's just nothing out there about him until this show. Is that, I mean, he's, I think that's kind of true. Like
yeah, I just don't think like
he's not like Anthony Edwards in movies and stuff.
But it's not. So in trying to contextualize this and to talk about it, I feel like I'm putting Justin down, and I'm trying not to, because that's not my point. I just don't know. Like when you're watching, and Justin's 25, he doesn't have a wife and kids, and so his life is, and this is great, simple. I'm just saying, like, I don't think that I think what Justin says publicly is who he is. So, yeah, I mean, the jet stuff, the jewelry, all cool. But the Kirk thing was a revelation, right? It's like, oh my God, I had no idea that this guy was like this. He embraces his quirkiness, his nerdiness. People actually like that. I'm not saying that I knew Jefferson well. I'm just saying, as we discussed yesterday, he is a kid. He's just a kid, and it's great. It's fantastic. Good family, works his ass off, competitive, relatively, in my opinion, normal for a guy who's a superstar, right?
So how about this for a guy that's named Jets, that wears like $500,000 in jewelry, has the most popular touchdown dance in the entire football world.
Yeah,
he's extremely low profile considering all those things.
Yes.
Like, he's a Hall of Famer who wears hundreds of thousands of dollars of jewelry, who literally has like the nation doing the gritty and is setting records, and he lives a relatively low profile life in a townhouse in like Egan.
Yeah, which I believe I saw the price. I think the price on that house was like something like $450,000.
So he's just living in a
complete. But I don't want to call him simple because he's not simple. I just
low profile.
Yeah, and I think the most telling thing was his explanation of, I'm Justin, but then I become Jets.
Yeah,
like Ant is always Ant, right? Like, that persona never changes. He's cocky as hell, and it's great. But Justin just prefers, as you said, to be low profile or just sort of chill.
Did it, from what you've seen, and I know that like a lot of the audience, you probably haven't dove into the Netflix receiver series, and maybe you will this weekend. So we did recap the first 2 episodes on yesterday's show. But did it kind of confirm, at least from what you've seen, did it kind of confirm to you that Justin Jefferson is not really a classic diva wide receiver?
Oh, not even close.
Like, he seems very pleasant. Even the stuff about in future episodes where he's talking about, I'm like, I know that I'm recovering and our team is losing, but I'm coming back. I have no desire to sit out because of my contract. Like, that's not me.
Right.
Doesn't seem to have diva qualities about him.
It is weird. Yeah, he's got nothing. And on the field, there is some good stuff because he's extremely competitive and, phenomenally talented. But yeah, there was nothing about him. I would say every other wide receiver featured had way more potential of diva to them than Justin did.
Yeah. And even like the other guys, I mean, Devontae Adams seems pretty low key and normal, just lives in a huge house.
Off the field, he seems like a really good dad, and he's smart. On the field, he's different. Like, he's a diva a little bit.
I don't blame him for...
No,
he
did
either choose to go to that organization.
Well, and that's true. That's true. And then, of course, because he can't stand not having attention, Aaron Rodgers had to come out yesterday and said, I can't wait to play with Devontae again, knowing full well that there is a scene in in the documentary, the docuseries of Rodgers and Devontae going out to eat and how they love each other still, that it was the biggest, hey, pay attention to me, Aaron Rodgers. I'm over here. I know Devontae well.
Blast Aaron Rodgers to the sun already. My God. He is the most cringe narcissist in football history. If you thought Brett Favre was all about Brett Favre, at least it was in like a fun, playful way mostly. Right. Rodgers is just like it. He's not funny. He's just everything. He has main character syndrome more than any player I can ever remember in the NFL. Where everything, and he's never been wrong about anything either in his mind.
No, but this whole thing, like he clearly knows. I'm sure he watched the scenes with him, and it was just so apparent that he's like, "Oh, hold on a second, I need to capitalize on this." I look forward to playing with Devontae again, which of course then all the talk shows are like, "Oh my God, are they going to reunite in New York?"
Yeah, or Las Vegas, perhaps.
Yeah, good point. Touche.
Steve Beasley says, "I got to say, I'm kind of disappointed in you and Judd. I had to stop your episode to send this message. You guys were going over the best touchdown celebrations in NFL history. The gritty, the icky shuffle.
Good. Who'd we miss?
And you missed the Dirty Bird. How could you not talk about the Dirty Bird? The Falcons. The late 90s Falcons.
Yeah.
Other people have brought up the Victor Cruz salsa dance, too.
Oh, that's a good one, too. Yeah, both good. Yeah. Both good. Hey, we're always looking for help here.
Yeah.
We're always looking for help. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dennis Laughlin says, I saw an article entitled Some Sins from the 2023 Vikings Come to Light, talking about Alexander Madison's lack of success on the goal line. And then there was that Warren Sharp analysis that came out that he had like 9 carries inside the 5-yard line for -7 with all the video.
I need to watch it.
But watching the videos included, it looks like a lot of the blame would be on the offensive line and the blocking or the blocking strategy, not specifically Alexander Madison's fault. Is this a coaching issue, a line issue? Was it really an Alexander Madison? I think the answer is all of it plays into it. Now, let's not completely exonerate a running back that's been below 4 yards a carry for like 3 straight years. People do overstate how bad the Vikings offensive line has been. I mean, they have 2 of the best tackles in the NFL. Get out on the edge once in a while. Yep. And he doesn't. Like he doesn't have a burst. He's shown you nothing in 3 or 4 years, not to keep piling on.
Right.
But I think some of it is like interior offensive line. Kevin O'Connell seems really quick as a coach and a schemer to just bail entirely on the run game. Like he'd just assume have Josh Dobbs or Nick Mullins throw 35 or 40 passes than like pound the rock for 3 hours. So it's all of those things.
Is it the offensive line's fault though that he in those predicaments or situations ended up with minus yardage? Like that's where that's astoundingly awful.
Break a tackle, find it, bounce to the outside, find a crease somewhere.
If he'd always got stopped at let's say the 2, it'd be frustrating. He lost yards.
Yeah. And if of those 9 carries, just kind of thinking back anecdotally, I would say 4 to 5 of them, offensive line gave you very little chance to score a touchdown. But on 3 or 4 of them, you can't stumble your way into the end zone to the 1
and to
your
the
doorstep.
That's I didn't think of this until now. When you went back and watched them, did you see how much Oliver was on the field? Because to your point about the edge, I mean, they went out and signed him big blocking tight end specifically for like that situation. It's just hard to believe that there wasn't more to find there. Like it's the running back's job to find this, right?
Yeah.
Like it can't be like, well, if you don't have an open hole, if the A gap doesn't burst wide open, well, then you're screwed. It's like, no, you're a professional. You're supposed to be able to find and you work on these things. So I don't know.
Yeah. If you watch, again, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best to ever do it. But if you watch, the offensive line does a good job for San Francisco, but there's so many plays where Christian McCaffrey just like makes it happen, picks up an extra 5 yards, 20 yards, breaks something, whatever. Nicolay Law makes it happen. Nicolay Law, the official, I'll throw our guy Russ Nicolay here up on the YouTube channel, the exclusive personal injury law firm of Purple Daily, Nicolay Law, it's just a bunch of normal folks who live in Twin Cities communities that you probably see out and about at games, at the gas station. They just happen to have law degrees, and they're here to help you when you've been injured. Get Minnesota's local award-winning injury lawyers, nicolaylaw.com, or give them a call at 1-855-NICOLAY. Hey, last weekend we posted, I think it was our 3rd episode of Purple Over Beers at Red Cow. So we recorded a fun episode. I think we posted it on the 4th of July last week. So if you haven't checked that out on the Purple Daily podcast feed and or YouTube channel, you can. 6 Red Cow locations, 5 in the Twin Cities, 1 in Rochester. We're talking about some of the best food in the Twin Cities. Wings to die for, burgers, great cheese curds, the best chips and dip in the Twin Cities too. You mean the chips and dip? Oh. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Oh, phenomenal. Outstanding. 36 beers on tap, local brews, craft cocktails, and great spots at the bar to belly up and watch a sporting event. So stop by any of the 6 Red Cow locations in the state of Minnesota, 5 in the Twin Cities, 1 in Rochester, and let us know take pictures of your food and send them to us on.
So jealous when you do that, though.
Twitter/X. Let's see what else we got here before we get to our snake draft of the week. Kim says, I'm a huge fan of Purple Daily. You guys are truly unique. Thank you. I'm not sure if someone says, hey, Judd, you're really unique.
Yeah.
You take that as a compliment or just kind of?
I don't know. I like it, but yeah, I could see that going both ways.
Boy, you are really
unique. I'm trying really to find a word for you. Unique. Yeah.
I need help figuring out which episode it was when you ranted about hope this email finds you well. My medical specialist heard about the rant and now she wants to listen to the episode. It would mean a lot to me. I don't remember which episode it was. I'm pretty sure it was a Feedback Friday.
A couple months ago.
Sometime.
I'd guess 2 months ago now.
Yeah. When people send emails and we all get them, hope this email finds you well. Well, what if it's not finding me well?
Yeah.
Do you want me to let you know that, in fact,
hope
your
you're
email
having
found
a
me in the
horrible
fetal
day.
position?
In fact, I want someone to send that one next time. Hope you're having a terrible day. Now, here's my question. Answer.
Or just say, I don't care how this email finds you. I have a question and I need an answer to it. Yes. Preferably by the end of the day, Friday, by 5 o'clock.
Here's not caring. Here's to not caring.
I would say if you comb through all the Feedback Fridays from the spring, you might have a chance to find it.
But I don't know where it was. Like was it the outset? I think it might have been halfway through a show. This might be difficult to find.
Yeah. Okay. A bunch of people are ripping me for saying that I don't mind the Lions this week. That's saying you can't be a Vikings fan, a Vikings podcaster, a Vikings talking head.
Yeah.
And say that you don't mind the Lions, that you must have hate in your heart for every team in the division.
Did you mean like if they go to the Super Bowl or like what did you mean exactly? What was the context?
Guess I'll add more context. All right.
Thank
you.
The
Packers are a fierce border rival. Mm-hmm. Most of us have, if you're from Minnesota, most of us have friends, family, people we went to. I went to college with a bunch of guys from Wisconsin. They're all Packer fans, you know? Mm-hmm. You know, they'd always wear their... So they're Packer fans are just in your life, annoyingly, on a regular basis. You know,
your neighbors, they're your friends.
They're unkept.
They're your cook.
Yeah, they're grilling up fries in dive bars on the border. You go to Hudson, you can never figure out who's who. Are they a Packer fan?
Which I've always thought is weird. It's you're in Wisconsin, but you're not really in Wisconsin here, you know?
Yeah.
What?
Hudson's pretty much ours. We pretty much.
Yeah. Well, you're a Vikings fan. You can be a Brewers fan. You're right.
And also Vikings Packers have gone back and forth over the eras, right? Packers in the 60s, and then the Vikings came back and dominated 70s, and the 90s were back and forth, and it's bitter. The Bears too. You know, the Bears are geographically, I think, and historically, I don't know, there's just more meat on that bone.
Sure.
The Lions have been such a pathetic dumpster fire for 60 years. I mean, the 1950s are the last time they were really relevant on the NFL scene, right?
3 championships, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Way before the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying, I don't put the Lions in the same category as the Packers or the Bears in terms of rivalry and annoyance and hatred. And yeah, you know what? when the Vikings get bounced and the Lions are in the playoffs and the Lions are playing the 49ers, I'm rooting for the Lions.
Okay, see, I draw the line there. Like I'm with you completely as far as like, yeah, they've been a dumpster fire for ages until now. Their fan base, like they won a playoff game against the Rams and their fans are crying. So I have no problem with that one. But if they make a Super Bowl, dude,
that's
I'm
what people are
drawing the
saying.
line
Robbie
there.
B said it's all fun and games until they're in the Super Bowl.
I'm drawing a big old line there.
I don't know.
Dad.
I
Sports
barely
Dad.
consider them a division rival.
Okay,
You know?
this is where I fundamentally disagree with you. This is where I have a problem. You've crossed the line as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we made fun of them forever, and now they're going to prom and being named the prom queen. I mean, come on.
People are hammering me right now. But let me push back at this. So Adnan says, Phil, that's an L take. Sorry, no. Okay. We literally will look on the schedule and say, okay, it's week 4. It's Packers week. Here it is. Yeah. It's week 10. It's Bears week. It's Vikings Bears week. Vikings Packers week.
I like the Lions this year.
So it's week 5.
I'm looking at Lions games.
But we don't call it Lions week.
We might.
It's not even a.
We might, but yes, I'm fine with what you're saying. I'm just, if they get to a Super Bowl, I can't stomach this.
Okay. But
they had beat the 49 but they were up at halftime against the Niners by what, 14 points, something like that. In the NFC
17.
Yes, I think you're right. In the NFC Championship game, and in my head, I'm trying to process: are the Lions really going to a Super Bowl like before the Vikings? At least as far as in my conscious lifetime about football, I struggled with that.
Yeah,
I was happy when San Fran came back. I walked to the edge of the cliff. I took a long, hard look, and I said, "I'm glad San Francisco came back and won that game."
Ryan Snavely says Detroit needs to prove it more often. One good year does not make it a rivalry. That's kind of the boat that I'm in. It's like now the Lions are better than the Vikings.
Well, I feel like we're arguing two different things. Like, I'm fine with Detroit being good. I have no problem with that. I'm not saying, look, I feel good that they might be good for a period of time. But there's a line that if it gets crossed, I don't know what I'll do.
And I think if that line gets crossed, which is Lions going to a Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl,
yes,
it sounds like a lot of people's reaction is going to be lashing out at the Lions and their fans. And I'm saying my reaction will be, and I think other people's reaction should be, not to tell people how to be a fan, is turn inward and do some self-reflection on 60 plus years. How did you this is a marathon. You literally had like a 15-mile lead in the marathon and couldn't cross the finish line, and they caught you,
I feel like there'd be a lot of therapy necessary if this happens.
You're probably right. It would be very bizarre to see the Lions hoisting a Lombardi trophy. Mark Larson says, my wife and I are watching Write That Down, and she just asked, before I die is a cool phrase and all, but what happens when the Vikings win a Super Bowl? Are there ideas for the next catchphrase? It's a question from my wife, Kirsten Larson, rabid Vikings fan and American Girl doll namesake. I would say two things. Number one, to the Larsons here, let's focus on the first catchphrase first.
Yes.
And then if we get to a point where they have fulfilled the before I die portion and we have to spend some time coming up with another catchphrase or another mission statement or rallying cry, we would welcome that problem at some point.
But we should not be prepared for it. Like, I feel like that's bad luck.
It's got to be organic.
Like if we're like, here's the next phrase. Also, if this takes, like, there's no guarantee that the Vikings, I mean, who knows, right? It could happen this year. Probably not. It could happen in 5 years. It could be 10, 20. Like, that might be my last show.
Well, someone just, Jacob says you guys would just retire at that.
I'm not dismissing this one.
And then we would go pick another team and just pick some crappy franchise, the Panthers. Panthers Daily. We're here.
We could go dark with this phrase. Mission accomplished. See y'all later.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, like the Before I Die thing, that was completely organic on this show back in the summer of 2020, where, they won a playoff game a few months earlier and people are wondering, you guys seem really negative and you're like your tone is not as celebratory as some fans feel it should be. And we said, well, the goal here isn't to just win a first-round playoff game and then by the way, the highest paid quarterback in the league and then get smoked on the road in the divisional round.
Right.
We want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die at some point, and that's the standard that we hold.
Yeah, Shane Brander there is not pleased with me. Playing it safe, Judd, man. You used to have more spark. I've been beaten down by life, Shane. That's the problem. Every year takes a toll.
Yeah.
Every year takes just a little more from my football soul.
Nate Smith chimes in and says, longtime listener here, was listening to the podcast and your guys' thoughts on the Netflix series Skills Group. I think that Netflix The Trenches would be a great series. So you highlight some players on both sides of the ball, offense and defensive line, edge rushers, offensive tackles. Love what you guys are doing. Okay, two things off this, because now we have a bunch of people via email and via YouTube that are putting out suggestions for, like, what can Netflix do next? I did run the Trenches thing by Alex Boone and Jeremiah Searles, and they said highlighting individual offensive linemen would be tough because they'd get so much crap in the room for being, like, the star of a group. You'd almost have to do, like, a group of linemen.
Right.
But I think this would be a good time for our snake draft of the week here. Let's bring in Score North producer extraordinaire, AJ Fredrickson.
Look at that hair.
I'm going to startle him by popping him right up in
Welcome to the show, Age and Your Hair.
Hey, thank you. Just happy to be here. How you guys been doing? Surviving without Dex?
We're trying to keep it low key until the
there were some hiccups today. I'm not.
I almost crashed the plane producing Royce Unchained when the Ric Flair woo was on loop, and so it just kept playing woo, 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 woo.
And then Rick was super excited today.
Yeah. And then with Dukes, the screen went blank, and he panicked because he thought that his computer had crashed, but it hadn't.
Yeah, but we're here. We're here on Purple Daily. By the way, you can find AJ on the Tom Bernard Show, tombernardshow.com every day. You can find him on Judd's Hockey Show, and you've done one snake draft previously, so this will be your second Feedback Friday snake draft, right?
I have, and it's a high expectations because I have not lost a snake draft that I've been a part of yet. I won the grilling draft that I was a part of. So the only guy in the office that has yet to win a single draft is our guy Declan, who doesn't have a chance this week.
No, but he'll win at life because he's getting married tomorrow. So
absolutely,
he dropped the ball bad though on when he didn't take a TV.
Yeah.
For the
man cave,
one, sitting in the dark in the basement.
I think he had the first pick and he didn't take a TV, and then Roscoe had the second pick, and of course he swooped in. And it's like, Declan, dude, that one was there for the taking. It's
always take the TV.
No brainer.
What's a man cave if you're just sitting there with like your autographed pictures?
He drafted a running back.
He drafted
when he could have taken a quarterback.
Yeah, he went with a recliner. That's not the first overall pick. That's a reach.
Yeah.
Well, and you can get you can get something to sit in. Like once the TV is gone, there's no
You're
like.
Screwed.
I'll take another TV.
Would you rather sit in a recliner in a room with no TV, or sit on the floor in a room with a giant 70-inch TV
not
with
even close.
a football game?
That's not a conversation.
But I mean, you can also take a couch, which I did. Mm-hmm. Hell, you could take a nice air mattress. Like he could have taken anything coming back and won that thing.
Yeah.
So, well, now that he's been ripped properly without being able to defend himself, let's get to the snake draft of the week here, which I'll unveil after we shout out Federated Mutual Insurance Company. So, as a business owner out there, you got to make sure you have a game plan to stay focused on safety and preventing claims. Federated Insurance comes in like a great offensive line for your business. They offer a customizable lineup of industry-specific coverages and risk management services like a left tackle and a right guard for your business. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com. At Federated Mutual Insurance Company, it's our business to protect yours. Okay, I'm going to try and play a music bed here without crashing the plane here, too. Right?
Speaking of.
There we go.
Oh, got it.
Can you guys hear that okay?
Yeah.
And it's at a reasonable volume that's not blowing out your eardrum.
I was told it'd be at a reasonable volume. Yes, it's good.
So I have done the pre-draft order here. I have already done, and it's going to start with Judd with the number 1 pick. AJ, you get the second pick.
Okay.
I will round out with the third overall pick. We'll go 3-round snake draft. So second round it flips, so I get back-to-back picks. And then for third round, Judd will get the back-to-back picks coming around turn number 3. And the snake draft of the week is other Netflix sports-related documentaries that you would love to see released. So they have to be at least somewhat loosely related to sports. Or it could be something, it could be another position in football. So what they've done so far, and correct me if I'm missing one, they've done obviously quarterback, receiver, they've done golf, F1 racing, cycling, and sprint is the newest one that came out before receiver for Olympian 100 and 200 meter sprinters. There's some rumbling that they're working on a hockey one and a basketball one. Those are fair game to be drafted. If you want to draft, those are available.
Yeah, the hockey one has been teased. It's done.
Okay. So should we take that one off the board then?
No, because it's a general one. It's not position groups.
So you can get specific.
And I like the specifics. I think the football one works because it is so specific.
Yeah, be as specific as you want in this draft.
I'm going to be very specific. I'm not going to throw out, hey, do a whole bunch of baseball players.
Okay. So Judd, you have the first overall pick. I wonder if can I hit the chimes and let's see here. Oh.
You are just
two things playing at once over here.
You are just pushing your luck. It's worked, but you're pushing your luck.
All right, you're on the clock, Judd.
So, unlike the Man Cave one, this one has, I don't feel that you can really go wrong unless you really screw the pooch here. Like, there's a lot of good choices here. So, I am going to go to my favorite sport of hockey, but be very specific. I want goaltender, goalie. Goalie. They are weird. Being a goalie is, I don't know. I'd love to see like Marc-Andre Fleury, take your pick. Shesterkin, you've got Russians, you've got French Canadians, you've got Americans, but I mean, the one thing is they're the only guys that are basically in the spotlight the entire game, and they can be blamed for everything. The psyches would be just fascinating to see. So goaltender.
Yeah, I mean, you could also talk to old school goalies
100%.
About the days where they didn't wear masks and they just got hit in the face with pucks and bleed all over the place.
But I mean, imagine what a masochist you have to be in some ways to play that with how hard guys shoot. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. You could also talk about how it's the easiest position to play in all of sports because, like your size and the small net does most of the work for you.
He's unbelievable. What a... Okay.
Come on, fight me. Judd's Hockey Show, guys. Fight me.
What a Richard you are. Yes, okay.
Okay, AJ Fredrickson. You're on the clock.
All right. I'm gonna stick with kind of what Netflix has been doing here and stick with NFL. But I'm not going to quite go to a position group here. And I'm going to take actually a page out of Mackie, one of your favorite sports movies. I know you're high on this movie. Give me a all-access draft day where you're following a few select teams that are picking like in the top 3, right outside of the top 10, and maybe like a sleeper who's looking to get back into the first round. And obviously with this pick, I'm assuming that they're going to waive all of their rights of, yes, you're going to be fully mic'd up. People know that, and we're agreeing to everything. You see all this behind the scenes stuff, but I want these GMs on like camera in their face. I want to hear every phone call. I want to hear every
NFL
trade
GM. NFL GM.
All access draft day.
Okay.
Draft day, all access. Just a couple key teams in the draft that you get like behind the scenes looks of everything they do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's so many, and we're getting a few of these with this off-season. It's like off-season hard knocks with the Giants, and we're getting some uncomfortable front office conversations that are being pumped out, like the Saquon Barkley stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that the NFL tries to hide because there's just how the sausage is made. Sometimes is teams would rather it be kept secretive. Okay, wow. So I have back-to-back picks here, man.
Back-to-back picks.
So much pressure. Okay, I'm going to go with the third overall pick, my first pick. I'm also going to go football. I'm going to keep going back to the football well here. I want NFL head coach. So it would be Netflix head coach. Mm-hmm. and we can pick, this is just sort of spitballing, but pick like an old wily Andy Reid or a John Harbaugh or Mike Tomlin would be wildly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody I think you'd need 3. You'd need like a veteran Andy Reid type. And then you'd need someone who's, Sean McVay would be great, or Kyle Shanahan.
I bet McVay would
younger.
Yeah. I bet McVay would do it, and he's incredibly entertaining.
And then
Shanahan might be pretty boring compared to McVay.
Yeah, so like a legend, a guy who's on his way.
Up-and-coming legend, and then a young guy.
And I don't think a first-year coach would do it, but is there like a second year, like a Shane Steichen going into his second year, or Kevin O'Connell going into his third year type of a guy? That'd be kind of fun. Mm-hmm. So NFL head coach.
It might be fun to find a guy going into his third year who you think actually might be crazy and about to be fired just to add, because like to your point,
Dan Campbell, dude.
You'd have 2 legends.
NFL hot seat. That's the one.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Come on down, Josh McDaniels.
So you establish beforehand.
Staley.
Hey, we're looking for coaches that are probably going to get fired. Yeah. They don't know that that's why they're part of this. But
correct. Oh, you'd be like, oh, Josh, we respect you so much.
Mm-hmm. Well, for them, you're pitching it like, this is also a resume for you to get another job after you inevitably get fired. Show behind the scenes that you are competent and you kind of know what you're doing, so that you can go coach the Commanders, or you can go out to whoever. I think you could sell that.
I would love to see a nut job though. Oh, yes. Just a guy who's off as a rocker.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels would have been. Mike McDaniel would be a great one there too. But just pick like 3 or 4 coaches. Okay, and then we're wrapping around to the second round here. So my second pick, 4th overall, Netflix umpire. Major League Baseball umpires.
CB Buckner.
During a really interesting time where they're they're scrutinized more than ever. We've got electronic strike zones creeping up through the minor league system. But I want to hear the arguments. I want to hear the discussions, the complaining about technology and all the new things. There's so many umpire conversations that we'd love to be privy to. So Netflix umpire is my second pick.
Judd, can I get that strike 3 call one more time?
Strike. Punch him out. I love when they punch him out.
The tornado one's the best.
Take a step back. That's good too. But I do love the step back and the bang.
The kung fu. Yeah.
The cash register. Cha-ching. Yeah.
But instead of that, you just go boom.
Okay, we're back to AJ for your second pick.
All right. NIL has been a massive, massive conversation piece these past couple of years in college sports. So with that, why not highlight some of those talented athletes? And we do an Netflix NCAA Road to the Major Leagues. You pick a sport every year. You could do college football one. You pick a 5-star prospect, somebody who's projected for top of their draft. They're going to go. Somebody who's maybe they're a walk-on. They got the grit. They're the fun underdog story that America wants to love and root for. And then you have maybe, somewhere in Georgia, you pick a guy who maybe has some trouble. Maybe he just had to do a press conference, and you never know what's going to happen.
So athletes, college athletes who are likely to go pro or trying to go pro, kind of a thing.
Yes, and it's not going to be scripted. Don't give me this a Disney story where the underdog rises and somehow cracks the top 10. No, if they get picked in the 7th round, that's just fine. That's a success. But they worked hard. You saw kind of behind the scenes what goes into, especially for all these younger kids that are like, I want to go play for the Gophers. I want to go ball out at Duke. I don't think you have it, son. I don't think you have it. Do you see how much work this guy's putting in? He has a 2.6 GPA, but he's putting in 40 hours of practice time every week just working on his free throws. Like, give me something with college kids preparing to take that next step to the professional level.
Okay. I think, you said NIL, and I don't know, maybe I'm spoiling someone else's pick here, but there could be an angle here where you're literally, maybe I am spoiling someone's pick, but could it be Netflix NIL, where you are following the underbelly of how to find money for these college players too? Like, is there a component of that in here? Ooh. If somebody wants to draft that, I just threw it out as an option.
So. No. So am I done after this?
You get back-to-back picks here. Picks. Yeah.
Okay. So
you got somewhere to be?
No. I'm trying to decide. I've got like 8 left. So I'm trying to decide on this.
These are you get back-to-back picks, but these are your last 2 picks.
Okay. So I've gone with goalie, which gives me an on ice in this case. So I'm going to go off the chart now and pick 2 things. 1, announcer. I'm going Joe Buck, Kenny Albert, because he does everything, and he's going to work a bunch of Vikings games, and then like 2 more. I want guys that work multiple sports, so not just one sport, preferably national guys, at least at first. Announcer. I want to follow them around. They're constantly
Netflix
they go home,
announcer. Netflix
they go home,
play-by-play.
They leave. Their wives probably hate them. The kids don't know who they are. Like nobody travels more than like officials, umpires, and announcers.
And Kenny Albert. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He'd be a main guy here because he does locally the Rangers. I think he does some Knicks as a fill-in for Mike Breen on MSG.
Yeah.
And then, of course, nationally, he does hockey. He does football. He does
the
baseball.
Lions and the Packers next on Fox.
He's never
it's
home.
Jonathan Vilma and Kenny Albert.
Never home. And I want to see him at home. Like, how do you explain to your wife and kids that you're going to land, come home, take a shower, and leave?
Sweetheart, it's me and Jonathan Vilma here at the airport, FaceTiming you now on Fox.
And how about the Fox assignments? They rearranged all of them except for Vilma is still with Albert. What did our guy Kenny do to deserve Vilma?
I know. So it's Joe Davis and where's Kevin
Mark
Burkhardt?
Sanchez.
Oh, it's Burkhardt and Brady, and then Joe Davis and Sanchez.
Oh no.
Joe
Olsen,
Davis and Olsen.
Olsen, and then Sanchez is the third analyst.
Oh, they have 3 with. So it's Joe Davis. No. Who's Sanchez?
As far as the
with,
teams
though?
go, it's Burkhardt and Brady. It's Davis and Greg Olsen, and then the third team is like Kugler and Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez. Schlereth was demoted to the last team instead of. I don't know how Vilma hasn't been demoted. It makes no sense. But announcer is my second choice, and then my third choice is follow 3 or 4, probably 4 sports gamblers who make their living via that.
So there was a series just like this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but it wasn't. I don't think it was quite under like the same umbrella of production as we're seeing now. But they did do something similar a few years ago, and it was really interesting. It was like these guys trying to show how they turn it into a business, and
I want a loser too. Like find a guy who's in trouble with the mob constantly. Like I don't want like 4 professionals.
Yeah.
I want at least one guy who thinks he's a professional, but might get capped at some point in time. Like I want a guy that lives on the edge. Like if
he's a little jittery.
If they drink too much, that's fine too.
Yeah.
But like I want to see the underbelly, if there is one left. I'm willing to bet there is.
Yeah.
Of that existence.
Okay. So Judd, your team is complete. We will revisit the whole draft here, but AJ's final pick here, your 8th overall pick here. We're in the 3rd round.
A lot of choices left.
There's a lot, and I'm going way off the board because this wasn't even on my. I had like 10 or so ideas before hopping on with you guys. This one came to me while we were doing this.
Wow.
So this could make or break my draft. Give me Netflix agent. Give me Rich Paul. Give me Scott Boras and some other. I want to see how Scott Boras is trying to nickel and dime every penny out of Carlos Correa's contract. What Rich Paul is doing for LeBron and all these other NBA stars. What goes into those types of negotiations? How many? I scratch your back, you scratch mine. We're going to have this guy who's also a client. He wants to get traded here, but, I want to see all that behind-the-scenes stuff. So give me Rich Paul, Scott Boras, and, I don't know, some other, maybe.
You'd have to have like almost an entry-level agent who's trying to get their first big client, and they're showing you're driving all over the country. And, so you'd have the super agent at the top, and then maybe an established agent in the middle somewhere or near the top, and then someone who's trying to find that first round pick. That's a great one, dude.
Good one. Good one.
I feel like the fact that that's slipped all the way to the 8th pick is shameful for all of us.
It's a sod. Steal the draft right there.
Yeah. Okay, God, there's so many. I feel like we could do like 6 rounds here.
Oh, yeah.
So many options. I did have WWE Superstar on here because I'm a huge wrestling nerd, but I feel like they do so many behind-the-scenes things already through their production. So, okay, for me, it's between 3 things. And since I have the last pick, I'll just throw all 3 of these out here, and I'll pick one officially. It's between kicker.
Yep.
So football kicker.
I had that written down. Specialist. Yep.
It's between this trenches idea where you would take offensive linemen or take an offensive line would be fascinating. And then I would say mixed martial artists would be interesting too, but UFC does so many behind the scenes things already. Like there's 24/7s and there's Tough Enough. I'm going to say Netflix trenches offensive line, where we either pick one team's offensive line unit or we pick individual offensive linemen, a Trent Williams, go pick a center, a David Bakhtiari who's rehabbing an injury, but he's interesting trying to get back. So I'll say trenches, offensive line for the final pick.
That'd be a good one. Yep. I did think of baseball closer. I think closers would be.
Like in their head, yeah.
But
that's a great one.
Yeah, but I was trying to like find things. Now, actually, do you know what might be? It'd be depressing, but it'd be intriguing. Is if you did Netflix Broken, and you actually did like ex-football players who have like issues because the sport's so brutal. Like it'd be interesting to see. Like we talk about it a lot, but we don't see it, right? Like what's the price? What's the toll of playing, especially back in the day, that sport?
Yeah. Some people in the comments wondering, wait, no NBA, no basketball? And I would have been the one here. You guys are the Judd's Hockey Show crew.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
I do believe they have something in the works that's going to be either later this year. Like they're definitely working on something, I have heard. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. But I almost feel like we have so much access to NBA players already. Like you already kind of know who the top superstars are. So there'd have to be an angle there. NBA official would be interesting, though. You follow like the Ed Malloys and the Scott Fosters.
Ed Malloy.
Yeah.
Oh, Ed Malloy. I had that, but more of like similar to like the road for college. But give me a guy who's playing like overseas in China or something, trying to get back to the NBA, or give me
Turkey maybe.
Give me a CFL wide receiver who wants to make it to the NFL. Give me one of those guys who is trying to get his foot in like the biggest league, but he's playing somewhere else right now.
Yeah. So here's the draft, the official snake draft here of sports-related docuseries we'd like Netflix to tackle next. Judd's team is hockey goalie, play-by-play announcer, and sports bettor. Pretty good. AJ, an NFL front office draft night or draft lead-up docuseries. College to the pros. Road from college to the pros, and agent, Netflix agent. If I would have thought of that, I might have taken that one number 1, actually, with my first pick. And then my team is Netflix NFL head coach, Netflix umpire, and Netflix trenches offensive line. So AJ will put all of these rosters up on the Score North Twitter/X page and Instagram, and you guys can vote on who drafted the best team here. Throw in snubs that we may have missed.
I feel like Age is going to win this one. And go to
Agent's a good one, man. Agent comes in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Comes in pretty good at the end.
I like my team, okay? Because I'm not going to apologize for my team, but I feel like AJ has the voting advantage going into the polling.
Judd, yours like intrigues me a lot because I feel like you don't see a lot of how much work these play-by-play guys put into, like behind the scenes, just getting ready for one game. Or like you guys have had Joe Buck on the show, but how much he goes
right
day to day, like back to back, and he's probably looking at the most meaningless stats at an airport layover in hopes that he can reference one thing in between, like moving of the chains. So
one piece of clarification: Joe Buck ain't laying over at an airport in 2024, but that'd be fun to follow, right? Yeah. Joe Buck flying private from
PJ? He's going PJ?
Joe Buck?
I'm kidding.
Am I wrong? Is there
no,
any doubt
no. Those guys go PJ.
Yeah. That's like when we asked Kevin O'Connell, hey, we just did a snake draft of airport and airplane pet peeves. What's your biggest airplane pet peeve? And he goes, well, I don't really have to worry about that as much these last 2 or 3 years. You know,
when I park at Signature, when I park on the tarmac and it's raining and then I got to go into the plane.
I forget the gate code. Is it a 5 or a 7? Yeah.
You losers.
They have the wrong type of champagne on the plane.
Yeah, it's a little too sweet. I like the dry champagne.
I flew a Wilf PJ once for a story, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's pretty damn impressive.
It's great. There's no security. You just take your roller bag, throw it on the plane.
It's literally like driving. It's like me driving somewhere.
Yeah. I've been on 2 PJs in my life for some reason.
Incredible.
It's like, wow. Back to sitting middle seat on Delta. After that, it's tough.
Yeah.
All right. That's the snake draft of the week here. Your Feedback Friday, Purple Daily, which is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. See you guys.